Chibi? Hey, Chibi. Guess he's not here. Guess I'll just start without him. I could barely contain my excitement upon seeing the announcement of this game, and I had really high hopes for it. But they fell about as short as the game's length. What were my qualms and my final verdict for Remember Me? Keep watching to find out. This is the All Review.
Start without me again! I dare you!
最果てのストーリー抱いてあてもなくさまよい続けた滲んだ New World It's only just begun 今始まりのは
Backstory and setup. You play Nilin, the best memory hunter to grace Neo Paris. But there is a problem. She was captured and her memories were wiped, thus throwing you into the gamer's hot seat to play a character who basically is a very green newbie once more. Convenient, right? How cool! How awesome! How overdone and unoriginal. That was my first qualm with this game. It adheres to the straight cookie-cutter formula that has been predominant in games such as these recently, so I was a little disappointed that they went down this road. It's just a roundabout way of saying, you just started playing as a character who has amnesia. It's a way to nerf the character from the beginning so you don't start as an overpowered skull crusher. It's like the game character is saying to you, I was strong, the strongest there ever was, but due to something that happened in the backstory, before you even turn on the game, you can't play with my full potential. So you have to reach her full potential, all over again. And she doesn't even really get that strong. This is turning more into a rant about character development rather than a review, so let's move on. Gameplay and mechanics. For those who like action games, you won't find anything earth-shattering or like a breakthrough here in terms of fighting. Aside from your sensen in battle, you'll find you'll be using it a lot, so much so that the gameplay mechanics become simply reliant on it, making it almost impossible for you to win almost in any fight without it. You can win some fights without using it, but the major fights such as bosses and fights where you will encounter waves of enemies make it practically impossible to not use it. I suppose you could get skilled enough to win fights without it, but why would you? After the first few initial tutorial fights and first skirmishes you have without the tutorials, you start to see a massive amount of repetition in the fighting. It follows a strict pattern in which it rarely, and I mean rarely, deviates from. Hit an enemy, watch for an exclamation point, dodge, and rinse and repeat until the enemy is dead. Sadly, there isn't much variation in the boss battles either, since they have you strictly rely on your sensen powers to beat them. Nothing special there, though I will say that the boss battles are very pretty. The enemies do get smarter and harder to kill, forcing you to change up your combos and tactics on harder difficulties. So if you are looking for this game to challenge you, then the harder difficulties will be the only way for you to play. The combo system is rather unique, and I like how it's done. You have several of these combos called pressings, in which you can modify combos as you unlock them for better and better abilities and damage. Your types of pressings include power pressings, which do exactly what the name implies, make you hit hard. Regen pressings, which heal you, so you can mix them in with your power pressings so you hit hard and heal yourself at the same time. Cooldown pressings, which by using these drastically shorten the cooldown time of your sensen abilities. And special pressings, which really don't serve any real purpose as far as I can tell, just that they pack a hell of a punch and look cool. Cut it out, Chibi. You're pressing your luck.
You better shut up or I'm a power pressing your special ass.
Threaten all you want, Chibi. I got something for you.
Oh yeah? What?
You'll see. Anyway, back to the review.
Fuck you!
The further you put your pressings in a combo, the more powerful their effect will be. If you put your power pressing at the end of the combo, then it gets its maximum effect and you hit really hard as a result. The same effect applies to your other pressings. The further along in the combo that each pressing is placed determines how effective they will be, so you must choose how you want your combo carefully. The chase sections where you wind up having to run from something or someone and have to leap from obstacle to obstacle or over a hurdle could have been executed so much better. She is a very acrobatic character while fighting and leaps all over the screen, but when it comes to jumping over simple obstacles such as pipes, she winds up crawling over them on all fours, all the time and rarely displays any kind of athleticism. What? Did she forget how to parkour outside of fighting? I really would have liked to see Nilin parkour over obstacles and from wall to wall instead of struggling to get over even the most mundane and smallest of hurdles. So she can parkour and freeform fight all over the screen during a fight, but she has to crawl over pipes while running for her life and struggle to crawl over and along walls? Sounds legit, it just seems like a rather large contradiction to her character to me. Soundtracks and environments. The soundtrack in this game is pure imagination. It's so harmonious and at certain points really highlight the game's atmosphere. When you get your first combo off in the game successfully, this really nice song starts. The first thing that came to mind when I first heard it was something Ghost in the Shelley or Zone of the Enders like. The music and soundtrack and ambiance in this game are top notch and are really worth listening to. I highly suggest finding the soundtrack to Remember Me and giving it a listen. As far as the environments go, they are very detailed, but it's nothing we haven't really seen before. There really isn't that much to look at since you're indoors the majority of the time, but when you do decide to look around, you can tell a lot of time went into detailing. But the soundtrack really fits the environment you come across, so it's a double-edged sword in a way. Story and game execution and length. The story, however, I have very few nitpicks about. The story of the game going into it, you'll find it hits home. Actually really close to home. It's an age where everything is shared through social media and that even memories can be shared now. Nothing is sacred anymore. In a way, I find that Remember Me's message is saying that social media becomes kind of like a poison in the future and we humans are a slave to our own technology and vices. At one point you pass this person who is holding his head in an alley screaming in pain because he wants someone to give him a memory. He wants to remember something happy and is addicted to it, and as a result of going so long without it is going through withdrawals, much like we are all addicted to social media such as Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Sounds very familiar, doesn't it? It really does hit home and really succeeds at getting its point across, so bravo. The story also has its moments of handcuffing, as in you wind up cupping your hand over your mouth because you can't believe what you just saw or heard. All of this alone is merit enough to pick this game up. The story hits really close to home in terms of our current generation and society and might actually scare you to a degree. That this is what our society could end up coming to. Above all, it will make you think. You'll fall out of your chair once you find out what happens at the end of the game. I'll say no more. The game executes itself well. Very good presentation and a game world and story that just makes you not want to put the stick down. The game does suffer from some minor camera issues, but nothing that will drive you nuts. A camera zoom feature would have been nice on parts where the camera zooms far out as you are making a wall-to-wall jump, as sometimes you can't tell if you need to go up and over or across a gap, and sometimes die because you can't tell. However, my main gripe with this game, and I mean my biggest gripe of them all, the game is far too short. The story and messages this game brings to the table is really well done, and a lot more could have been done with it. Sadly, the game will take you roughly 6 to 7 hours to beat. The story is far too ambitious for the length of the game, and it ends just as it's getting good. I would definitely like to see the series continue, but the ending doesn't leave any room for a potential sequel, which is sad, because this game could have been so much more.
Hey all, I'm Chibi Black. Hey, where's my name? Thanks, mysterious editor guy. God, person. This is how the rating works. I am now implementing a new rating system. Instead of a 1 to 10 rating system, I'll be giving a 1 to 5 rating on each of the mechanics of the game, covered in the review followed by an overall score for the entirety of the game. For the backstory and setup of the game, TC gives a 3.1 out of 5, and it's a very uninspired and unoriginal cookie-cutter concept for a character. More thought should have been given to really make it stand out more. For gameplay and mechanics, TC gives a 3.9 out of 5. This would have received a solid 4, but due to Nilin's acrobatic contradictions, he had to knock it down. It just didn't make sense that she could do parkour-esque fighting and acrobatic finishers, but she couldn't be acrobatic when jumping, hurdling obstacles. It's okay. That's acceptable. For soundtrack and environments, TC gives this a 4.2 out of 5. The soundtrack makes up a big majority of this rating. While the environments are pretty and detailed, you still wind up looking at a lot of the same stuff, such as boxes, windows, railings, and the inside of buildings. That's a lot of walls. More could have been done in his honest opinion. Story and game execution and length. TC gives this a 4.4 out of 5. The story and all its underlying messages really hit home, and the game did a very good job of conveying said messages and succeeds at some very good emotional build-up at times. However, the score for this section suffered due to the game's short length. A lot more could have been done with the story, and I was really sad when I saw the credits roll. My initial reaction was, "That's it?" followed by a big, emphatic Darth Vader, "No!" The Remember Me final verdict. TC gives Remember Me a 3.9 out of 5. I really wanted to give this a 4.0 or better, but due to the game falling short in certain areas and failing to achieve certain milestones as expected of a AAA title, I had no choice. But don't take this rating as the game being bad. This is the reason why I give ratings to each part of the game, so you can see my reasoning for my final verdict. It is a good game, but overall, due to its short length, I can't recommend this as worth $60. I actually recommend playing through it, if not just to experience the underlying messages the game hits you with. It's kinda You're dead, man, Chrono!